motion to approve the last month's meeting minutes?
I move we approve the minutes from last month.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. I'll ask you if there's any further discussion on the motion. Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Financial reports are included in your packet to review. If there's any questions that stand out, Fran could answer any of them for us. Hearing none, I'll ask for a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion.
We have a
Second.
motion and a second. Any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Reports and comments period. We're working on various projects, from the parking lot to the park to flowers. And number one on the list is talking up the Fall Festival. And I don't know about anyone else, when I'm in some of the businesses in town, it's hard to go up and down the aisle, which I do. I like it, really, to tell you the truth. But I'm hearing a lot of questions. Are we going to have a fall festival? Are we going to have a parade? We really want that to continue. So I think the article that was in the paper probably helped with that. So I think what we have to do is just keep talking it up that, you know, we need help. We need assistance. And I think the more we keep talking about it, the more that will prevail. And that's all I wanted to share. Vice Mayor?
I don't have anything this evening.
Thank you. Council have any remarks or comments? Hearing none, we'll move to the town manager's report.
Okay. One of the things we've been working on the most this past month is the start of the new water line and all that goes into making that happen. It affects 31 property owners, so 31 letters and easement requests were sent out asking people to send their easements back, giving us basically permission to encroach on their property as needed to replace the line that's there. We've gotten a handful back so far. We're following up. There are a few had questions. Our attorney was in today. I was able to ask him some questions and got some answers that I can better explain the situation on some of those properties. So we'll continue to follow up on that. We've heard from the engineer. They are about ready to send out bid packets for getting construction. So we're moving along on that. Once we have that in place, then we can look at what it's going to take financially and then figure out whether we have enough money. As we stand, we do have grant money still available for the water line, as well as some various water funds that we looked at one point, using some of those funds to help pay for the project. So once we get those back from the engineer, then we'll have a better idea on how we move forward, and we'll probably need to have some meetings on that. So I was asked last month after we talked at the town council meeting about the Fall Festival, about reaching out to some of my counterparts and other people as to how they have success. And I think I tried to share that with many of you, and I certainly think I sent it to both of you to give you an idea on what was sent. But the Planning District Office suggested reaching out to Virginia Tourism. They have some grants that are available if you have a 2-day event, so I think we thought we could stretch this one out and call it 2 days. Events happen on both days. Colonial Beach offered some ideas about what they do, and Warsaw the same. And in both of those cases, I think they have chambers who take on a lot of responsibility for helping with funding, so they're lucky enough to have that. I also sent requests out to the Zoning Appeals Board and the Planning Commission, as Joey suggested, and we did hear back from one member of the Appeals Board about her ideas, some suggestions, and I think at one point, there is maybe an opportunity, and maybe the teachers can share about whether kids need volunteer hours to, for some of those National Honor Society and some of those, that might be a suggestion, tapping into those. So that will be a suggestion as well. Dealt with VDOT in regards to getting the Route 3 repair made, and it was made finally. It had been on the books for a while. Contacted our all recreation rep regarding additional playground mulch needed, and that came to light when Aaron talked to Brian about there's some areas of the playground that have the mulch has been pushed aside or worn down completely. So there is a bid in front of you tonight from the same company that we purchased the equipment from and who the mulch came from previously. It's probably something we need to act on, at least to get the repairs in there, but as we move forward, there might be an opportunity. I was trying to get a couple other bids today from other mulch companies, but not everyone has gotten back to me. But that might be a suggestion going forward, is that we can check and see if there's a, somewhere closer or a different product. I do know at the playground that we put in at Stratford Harbor, we used the rubberized mulch, which is one thing very expensive, and another thing very dirty. I mean, the color comes off of those, so I would never recommend going that route. Learned that lesson. I had been working with Dominion regarding some possible lighting at the park, but I think we've got some other ideas about that we can share later. I did reach out to the family on Carver who has some livestock, some ducks and some chickens who tend to free roam, not only in their yard, but their neighbors' yards. And so, in fact, I almost ran over a duck when I went over to check on them. So they're working on putting up a new fence that actually will be an electrified fence, which will help keep their critters in. But they did reach out and say they were sorry and that they're working on remedying that. And the area at the parking lot, when they paved the parking lot that's there, they found a soft spot that ended up being where the well area was. So they're actually bringing in someone from the state rural water group to see what kind of leachage is going on there, to see what might need to happen. It might need to be compacted. So they've kind of left that area bare with some cones around it to finish that up once that report comes back in. And at the same time, they hope to finish paving there. They will want to do the park. They did not do the park path. If you know where the Story Walk path is, we were going to pave that. But it's been so wet that they were really worried about with their equipment that they'd have to bring in of tearing up the grass. So they said they would do that at the same time they finished up the parking lot. Had some various meetings and so forth, and I think that's all I have for my report at this point. Sir?
Thank you, Fran. Any questions or comments for
With the conversation with Brian, we were trying to figure out when the mulch was originally installed over here. I know we dedicated the park in 2023. Did we have the park in there a year before that point?
I would say probably 6 months, maybe it had been.
So it should be about 2.5 years probably. So what I was figuring for about a year to 3 years is about a lifespan for that. In addition to this, now I don't know. We have First Friday coming up next Friday. Is if this is if they can get us a turnaround, maybe perhaps I'm not sure we want to get that installed. Because we have a lot of children over there probably for First Friday. I don't know if we want to move on that. It'd be ideal if we can get a local bidder on it or a local company to do that. But I'm not sure if we need to take out their old mulch, take it off there, just
No, you would just cover
put it right down on top of it.
Yeah.
Now, in addition to if we went with all recreation to it, or whether we do or do not, under the swing set right now, under the older kids, the two of them right there, it is worn down so much that it's rock underneath there right now. So I'm afraid of some kids falling and hitting getting injured on that rock. All recreation does offer those erosion mats. They can put underneath swing sets or underneath sliding boards. They range in size anywhere from $59 to I think $159 for those. or $129 for each. We would need 2 of those. I think it'd be a worthwhile investment to prevent a future erosion in those spots to buy 2 of those mats.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with those.
They have them over at, sometimes people kick them off to the side. They're probably about the size of like a throw rug or something. You put underneath the mats. That way when you're dragging feet there too, it won't erode away as fast.
It goes under the swing,
Yes, it's a rubberized mat.
and the mulch goes on top of it, or you would use it in lieu of mulch?
The mat would go on top of the mulch right there.
The mat
So
goes
it
on
would
top
help
of the
the
mulch.
mulch
Just keeps it
wearing
from
down.
being
Yes,
worn away.
yeah.
Hmm.
But I
Who
know
has them?
what's
Who
that?
carries them?
They-
All Recreation has those.
They're good?
Yes, on their website. Yeah. If we went with them, maybe we could tack on 2 of those mats as well with that. If we go with that big.
Can we do that? Okay. We're gonna talk about that when we go to closed session? All right.
That's the only bid that we have for that, only because that's who put the playground in, so it's probably something you could talk about now, as far as the,
We'll talk about it now.
Do we know who installed the, I guess the latest round of mulch was from the company. I'm assuming the
Right.
first round was too.
yeah, they both, it
All right.
has been, only been done by them so far.
All right.
So do we need to act on the all recreation? We do?
We need, that's the mulch that we need,
Okay.
so.
And you still have funds for the park, right?
Mhm.
Okay. And then you need a motion for that. We'll need a motion and then add those 2 items. What do they cost?
So I'm not sure what exactly maybe we're going to get a recommendation from them as to what size to get for that. They make them for bottoms of sliding boards and also for swings. But the only thing I think I see over there we need for is just the 2 swing sets for the older kids. They have a 1-inch thickness, which is $59, and they have a 2-inch thickness, which is $129.
So it's not the width and length, it's the thickness.
So it's the thickness, it changes. So it's 32 inches wide by 54 inches long and 2 inches tall, I guess.
And how much is it?
The 2-inch thickness is 129, 1-inch thickness is 59.
So 260 on top of the 146675. Is that what you got, Fran?
Mhm.
Okay.
So
So
whatever,
it's-
and whatever sales tax or whatever we're going on that, then.
Yeah.
We don't pay tax, so we don't have to do that.
All right.
All right.
But whatever we want to the 2, I'm not sure the difference if they have a recommendation for that. But
If we want to go with that, we'll add the $260 to that, and taxes might be off a little bit, but this will get us close enough to
Yeah.
it. So what's the council's pleasure?
I think there's a need for both of them, and I think if they can install it before next Friday, they might be pushing it. I don't know if there's a turnaround is.
I can turn
So we
it.
break it, that's your motion that we go along with it?
I'm in favor of it. I mean, I think for safety-wise over there too, I think we need the mulch and the erosion mats.
We have a motion, we need a second.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. I'll ask if there's any further discussion on the motion. Hearing none, all in favor?
You need a roll call.
Pardon?
You need a roll call.
Oh, that's right. That'd be a good thing to do, right? Mr. Lee?
Aye.
Mr. Smith?
Aye.
Mr. Hook?
Aye.
Mrs. Whitman?
Aye.
And Mr.
Watson.
Watson?
Aye.
Thank you. Motion carries. Reminders are always welcome. Thank you, Fran. And thank you, Aaron. All right, going to action items. Resolution.
Actually, I do have one other thing to mention. Somebody approached me from the community about the possibility of, I guess, working with VDOT, or I guess would be VDOT, to get a sign in front of the library when you turn onto Polk Street, before you get to the library, like a caution sign, which of course the daycare is right there as well. Somebody mentioned about cars, because there is a little bit of a blind spot when you get to the top of the hill, and cars will pull out, and they had some issue. And I've actually, since they mentioned that, I have noticed driving up Polk Street that sometimes it is, a little bit of traffic coming out of there and it comes up quick. So I didn't know if we wanted to look at pursuing that. I wanted to mention it,
I can contact VDOT. I contacted them at one time about, because Aaron had brought up possibly having a crosswalk there, but it doesn't qualify that area for a crosswalk. There's all kinds of specs that are part of that, but I would certainly think a caution sign would be something they could handle.
I agree.
Thank you for doing that. It's important when people come to us that we address things like that. So let's make sure we follow through and hopefully something happens with that. Thank you, Frank. Yes, sir.
I have a comment on a different topic, follow up on the trash, how it's going, so to speak. Some people have noticed that it'd be nice if they would pick the toters up after they empty them, pick them up, close the lid as they go through. Some of it, it becomes more challenging. I'll just leave it at that. Be nice to do.
Okay.
Sounds good. Thank you. Any other comments from anyone?
I'm not sure this would fall under the landscaping portion, but we mentioned the flowers for the park over here. Do we want to say that for the landscaping discussion? Or-
Yeah, we can do that.
All right.
All right. Action items. Resolution for Coast Guard. We have a copy of that in our packet, and we'll need a motion to move forward on that.
I so move.
We have a motion
Second.
and a second. I'll ask if there's any further discussion. Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Resolution for Northern Neck Planning District for DEQ Regional Water Supply Plan.
That's the one that was emailed to you.
Can you explain that a little bit for those at home?
Yes. DEQ is going to be offering, well, I should say, they're going to be mandating that it's called a regional water supply study be done. For each municipality, we would be required to coming up with developing a strategy for our water supply plan. And so what Northern Neck, the planning district is wanting to do is to apply for a grant kind of as for all of us. And then if we would want them to help us develop that plan, they would administer the funds. So they're just asking for our support in their applying for the grant. It's going to benefit us in the long run, so does that make
Yeah.
sense?
Yeah.
Is a resolution coming to us, or we have it?
You have a copy, or you were emailed a copy, but we do have it. It's quite a lengthy one, and we have to fill it out once, because we have to put in here who made the motion, who seconded it, and then the date. So once that's done, then we can complete the resolution. But we just used the resolution that they sent to us as the template.
And so they're working with, they're working with other counties too? Like
Everyone
Northumberland.
that's within the Northern
Northern
Neck
Neck.
Planning region.
So the other little town, they're asking the same thing from the other towns.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's just, at this point, just signing the resolution, there's no financial impact or anything of that
No,
nature.
this is really for just saying, we support you going after the money that we can
Help
borrow,
us.
that we can
Right.
get from you at a later date.
All right, what's the pleasure of the council?
Sounds like a thing to do.
I agree. I make a motion that we accept the resolution from NMPDC for the DEQ Regional Water Supply Plan.
A second.
We have a motion and a second. I'll ask if there's any further discussion. Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Fencing at parking lot. That's the estimate that we have in the packet, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Is that installed?
No, that's just the price of what the fencing itself would cost us. Christie actually pulled all these numbers together for us, called around, but no, in none of those cases was it installed.
Do we have any idea what installation would cost?
Well, it depends on if a particular person would ask her husband to do it, or we got volunteers, so I have no idea what it would cost.
And it's 60 foot, the run that we're
It
covering?
is a 60-foot run, and that's from the tree line to Aaron's property,
Right.
basically.
So that means we have to put 4x4 treated posts in the ground, and the fence slides over those posts.
I believe so.
What was your idea about installation?
Well, originally when we talked about it, when it was talked about a long time ago, Terry and Tim Sanford were planning to do it volunteer-wise. I don't know what we would do at this point.
Gotcha.
Or if that's even the route we want to go. You know, it's also been talked about putting, you know, green fence plantings along that back, but it's not going to be as immediate cover as this fence would be. So you ask us to look into pricing for fencing, so.
So this will be closer to the residence, but in that green section, 60 feet there, across that whole side.
Along the property line.
Did you say this is vinyl, the vinyl, this is vinyl?
Yeah. And Darren, this is at the back of the parking lot that we purchased from Blue Ridge Bank, at the back.
Okay.
Just kind of, we took those trees down, and some of the neighbors are hoping that there's going to be some kind of, something put back to a little bit of privacy.
What was the estimate on the shrubbery? Do we have a cost on that?
Well, I got no replies from that. Tim, the original estimate was the $1,000 from Tim. That's the only one who supplied any estimate at all. And that was him putting them in as well.
How much was that?
That was $1,000. That was what we talked about a couple months ago. The cost from Tim Sanford.
And that was for like the cypress or something of that nature?
The same, I think it's the same plants that he put in the park, along the edging.
Does Terry and Tim still want to install the fence?
They very well may, or I could certainly ask.
Yeah. So I mean, the 4x4 8-foot treated posts are definitely like $10 a piece. Easy. Then we have to put concrete around them. So, what's the, I mean, we don't have any labor idea, and obviously putting the fence up, we want to get treated posts and concrete to go around them. You want to inflate it and try to cover the cost and see if we can install the fence ourselves, or what's the pleasure?
I mean, I'm personally, I'll share any physical labor necessary to help install the poles. I don't think I've ever put a vinyl fence together though, so.
Well, if if it's once, I'm thinking about it, the final post will slide over top of the 4x4s, is that?
So some of that, we wrote it on there, some of that fencing is assembled already and some of it is not. You
What-
see,
Yeah, well, the fence panels are, but the posts would,
It's what?
the post would slide over the post that you're talking about. Yeah.
How wide are the fence panels? I'm sorry.
Oh, you're sure? Okay. So these we'll have to set 4x4 posts, and this will slide over top of it. Hardware post rough estimate included, is that in here? Oh, that's included there? Hardware post? Oh, really? That's all in there?
That's the fence post, not the,
Oh, okay.
not
gotcha.
the lumber.
All right, okay. What's the pleasure of the council? That's about 10 holes that have to be done.
If anybody has a power auger,
I was gonna say down Clark, maybe? We could borrow one.
I think there are a couple of them around.
Can we get an estimate maybe on someone installing it?
Yeah.
I don't want to keep holding off, but an estimate would be good. We'll do that, get an estimate and see what it is.
Table this till next
Yeah.
month.
Yeah. Okay.
does anybody have any experience with the vinyl fences, with their, how lasting it is? I have a little white picket fence about mine, I'm not sure how old it is, but it's starting to get a little bit brittle, it's like, it'll crack a little bit easier now. But
What I do know is it's all about setting those poles and making sure that we dig them deep. Sometimes what happens if you don't do them deep, that's what gives up, and then put concrete around it. And we don't even have to, the new way of doing it is just pour the concrete around it and not even put water on it, it'll harden itself. So,
And what do you need, 10 post
Do you see
holes?
what you're saying?
do
How big?
That vinyl could get chippy.
it 4" by 4", so we have to make them like 5 inches with a post hole digger or an auger. So,
Okay.
yeah, we probably need to add 4x4 posts, 8 foot long, 10 of them, and then concrete.
Depends on how much you're gonna put in the road. It's gonna be 8 or 10
That's gonna be the life of the fence, is how far we put that in the ground, you know. So easily, so these fences are 6 foot, so 2
Oh,
foot,
so we had
24
some-
inches.
Yeah, two of them one of those is an 8-foot, the ones on the right is 8-foot panels. The ones on the left are 6-foot panels.
Are they 2 different, oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah, so there's a difference.
6 foot should be enough, shouldn't it? So 8 foot post, 2 foot in the ground.
So you have 6 foot.
So we can get that price from someone, and just see what it is, and then we can go from there. Okay?
Yep.
Fall festival update.
Wake up.
Glad you're here. I think if you didn't hear, there are a lot of comments since that's gone out in the paper that, you know, the main thing is assistance, help, you know?
That's the key, is getting volunteers, you know, we're ready to roll and have our first fall festival meeting, but, we just need to have support from the community. I haven't contacted the bank, but usually they have skate night on Thursday night. Our church is gonna do a movie night again at the firehouse. I'm not sure how many of you attended the last one, but it was fun. And I think the kids really enjoyed having an activity that was all about them. And by doing that type of activity, it allowed people who were bringing in their food trucks and doing other things to get things set up and ready for Saturday morning. Saturday is probably the biggest issue, wouldn't you say, Alan, with the, you know, a lot of people come out at 6:30 in the morning. Well, by 4 o'clock that afternoon, they're grouping. And the work goes on. I know I was here last year till 8 o'clock, and you were probably here till 8.
Oh, yes.
Putting away all the equipment. Brian and you know, set up group and clean up group, it would certainly help us.
We do have a First Fridays group that on Facebook Messenger, you know, that where volunteers for First Fridays, you know, basically sign up to see who's going to be involved. It's a big chain of people. I would imagine that might be something that I could, like, are you a member of that?
No.
Okay. Might be something to say, hey, anybody willing to volunteer? Because it's a bunch of people on it. I mean, I'm usually, you know, just getting the dings, you know.
The main thing is help after the parade, cleaning up things and putting them away where we pick them up. Ryan spent that Friday, he does an excellent job. He's a hardworking young man, and I can't say enough because he has his list, and he said, I've learned over a couple of years what to do and when to do it, and he does a great job. But he's one person, and, you know, you've got steps to be put away, like Firehouse has allowed us to use the tables and chairs. If they get messed up, we have to replace them. But, you know, they need to be taken out, they need to be put away. So it's just a lot of little details. And the parade, it would be nice if y'all came down and saw what we actually do during the parade. Joey had suggested I get a golf cart. That's been tried, and it really doesn't work. You need to be moving around and trying to deal with the people. I've had a couple people say, oh, I'm gonna be in the parade this year, we're gonna put a float in it. And I hope they do. And they're minor little things. My daughter, I've been very fortunate that my daughter comes up every year and helps. And she's real good. But I noticed her last year when the cars were rolling out and the spiders were rolling out and things, she spoke to each one of them. And later she told me, she said, well, the music they were playing in the parking lot is a lot different from what they should be playing when they're going through the parade. So she very nicely told them, said, you know, this is a family event, change the music up. You know, things like that. And those are all things that we need to think about. Alan, did I say too much?
Always. Hey, you know, the people on your list, if you could get with them, if you could, and it don't have to be all the way to the end. Like, things in between, at the end of the parade before the cleanup. If we could have 4 of those guys, or whomever did, and parking at the other end of town, they could volunteer to do this, a simple thing, but that's a great savings.
Sure.
Because we'll have to pay guys to come in and do that because we can't find volunteers. That would be a great savings right there.
So you say parking at the
Yeah,
end?
in the town, Peach Grove,
Huh?
all parade turns left at 7-Eleven.
Yep.
And they go up to the, what is that called?
It's the old
The
social
big agency
services.
thing, yeah. And they go all the way around the building in 3 lines. It holds almost all the parade participants. Then after everything is said, police officer say, hey, we're clear, then they come back up the same way.
Okay.
We need people that like 4 people apart.
4 people?
Just to wave and say, hey, that way.
And you have to keep them there.
Yeah. And we have officers up there to control things, you know, a couple of porta johns and stuff like that. But, because they have to stay, they can't come back anyway because the streets are cluttered, you know, so they just have to stay, be patient, then they just come back up the same way. But all these little things, people here and there, it really pays off. But we have to pay people to do it. So right there, that'll be a great savings. You know,
And you've already had your first meeting?
not yet.
Okay, when do you plan to have your first meeting? Have you decided? Yeah.
It'll be in May.
Yeah, it'll be sometime next month.
Yeah.
I'm going to use as much email this year as I can for the food vendors, the marketplace vendors. Most of them we have them. The sponsors will still send out a personal letter. We want to use as much publicity as we can, Facebook, that type of thing. So we'll be working on that. And I do want to say, I hear so many times, well, Warsaw's parade or Warsaw does this. parade could go through, open it back up after the parade's over. That's not gonna happen. And understanding what we have to deal with is very important. And I hope y'all realize it, and that you do spend some time walking around. Come down to the parade. Because when you're lining a parade up and you've got everybody lined up and then all of a sudden you got somebody comes in and says, I can't be by them. I don't want to be by those people. But you do what you can to make them happy. The bands, you know, most floats don't want to be real close to a high school band. And bless Northumberland, they had the smallest group, but I was absolutely proud of them that they came up here and they marched through that parade. It's hard to get students to do anything. And,
So, use you guys, so you can utilize you guys because you're in the school system, you know. We had sponsors that put in money because we want to get bands back in the parade. And first place bands are $1,000. You know, they just don't come. But I think the bands we willing to come, it's just whomever is coordinating everything, you know, something like that. But we put on an awesome show, we really do. You know, it comes together. It gets a little thin with help, but, and last year I grabbed David at the 11th hour to come in and run sound for the band because I was spreading myself a little too thin, so it was great help. But anything helps. Anytime you got some free time that day, we can utilize it.
It just so you know, unfortunately, or fortunately, I guess, I have a wedding that day, so.
We gotta cancel that.
Yeah. So
Another move.
I'll be able to do all I can do Friday, but I've got my cousin's getting married, so, that day I will be, but I can help, you know, line up if you need somebody, you know, to help, at least on the day of unfortunately, the fall festival.
Is there a task list and how many people you need?
yeah, there is a task list. We pass it out at every meeting.
Okay. And does that break down how many people you need? Like, in Friday afternoon, you're still doing some setup, putting those
Yes.
things out?
And we put the jobs that have to be done, and we can get the list to you. I need to update it for this year. Kathy Craig does an absolutely bang-up job coordinating
Yeah.
what has to be done and when, and overseeing what we need. She's really good. The people that do the kids zone, I don't have to go up there. They know what they're gonna do. Jessica and Real Fairfax do what needs to be done up there, and that's what we need with people. Like, last year, I thought the marketplace went better, and, you know, we actually had booths down the middle of the street this time.
Yeah, it was good.
So
Yeah, all the changes have been real good.
I think we have one of the best fall festivals around for them.
It's a great day. We just get a little thin on, you know, it's great, it's a little bit.
Yeah.
But by that sunset, we're ready to lay down. You know, it gets a little thin, that's all. But anything anyone can do is appreciated, you know.
Yeah.
And the jobs are not hard, it's just being able to be in that spot, that's all.
And the radio station, we are going to move them to a new location. They used to be down that way, I guess, because of old-fashioned hookups or something. And now they don't need that, so we're gonna put them in the middle of everything.
Pretty close by.
They're really close. And I just love where the food court is. And Butch does a fantastic job getting that laid out, getting it straight, working with the food vendors. So we've got good people doing certain
I think it will help you that the town council definitely committed themselves that we want a fall festival, and definitely we can help identify and work with you on a grand marshal. And that's one way for the council to identify someone in the community
Well,
who's
we
done a lot.
will come up with, a theme
Okay,
at our meeting.
Good.
We're always open to hear ideas.
gotcha. All right, well, appreciate it. Any other comments or questions, thoughts? You ready to sign up for a list? If you're not at a wedding?
I was gonna say, I can help the day before.
Yeah.
I think once you have your first meeting, you'll get a feel for whether there's greater participation this year or not. Usually I participate every year. I got the impression last year that like setup was done like on Friday. And I said, okay,
Yeah, you just have to jump in someplace else.
yeah. Well, see, I need to come to the planning session so then I
Yeah.
can see
Well,
what's
we'll
going on.
make sure y'all have a date. We've been meeting at the firehouse because we can spread out. And I will tell you flat out, first meeting, everybody's gung ho. But by that last meeting in September, it gets slim pickings by then.
Right. A lot of time on the actual day of when people should show up, sometimes you don't show up in the past. That was my experience with it. But teamwork makes the dream work, so I know what
And
you
see,
trying to
most
get.
of the time, I don't see what's going on up here.
Hmm.
Because by 10 o'clock, I'm down there, and, I don't leave down there until the last vehicle pulls out.
And that should be fine because you have your little team captains, so to speak. You got little sub-teams and they go out and do.
Well, Alan spends his time running around.
Right. He likes running around. That's his specialty.
One of
But
the,
no, go ahead.
one of the best things we ever did was when he got the shuttles. To ferry people place to place. And I know one thing, talking to my daughter tonight, I told her I was coming up here, she says, well, please, ask if there's any way that that football field at W&L can be left open so we can use that to help line up some of the people and not have them jammed up on top of each other. The gates have been locked for the last few years. And I don't know why, but, it completely cuts off our space. And we have used it in the past. And the other thing is that we need to get across to people that parking is at the new high school, not W&L.
Right.
And we do tell them, when we do the radio interview, we try to get the word out, but they think, oh, I can cut in here.
But parade lineup is at W&L, right?
Now, and also we need to talk to the high school to make sure that they don't play a football game that day. Because they planned one last year, I think it was at 4 o'clock. They had it starting at 2 o'clock that day, and we talked them into 4 o'clock. But we want the high school clubs to be in that parade. They were always in it over the years, the cheerleaders, the football players, the mini Eagles, the mini Eagle cheerleaders, all the different groups.
That's why I mentioned, you guys in the school system. I don't know where to cover your piece of cake to handle it or get into it, but the schools are just going away from that day. The band director is, I guess so. It's our day. It's our day, and but we don't get a lot of help from anyone within the school system. Make sure when kids come out or anything of the sort, they just don't. We even tried it. One year it was like tremendously overwhelming. We got the school choir to do the opening session and national anthem. The courtyard was packed because every child has a parent or two, and we never made that happen since. Everyone always turns down. And we're just trying to keep it as close to home as possible. I mean, I can always get some of the best singers around doing national anthem, but it's not like our own people, doing it.
And the high school band back in the day would perform at the courthouse.
Appreciate everybody's input. Look forward to knowing when your next meeting is, okay? All right, still under action items, we have a few things to add. We would like to propose a short work session on Monday, April the 28th, from 6 to 7 p.m. From the schedule on the budget, we got a little bit off track, and we feel like we could do like a combination work session and provide pizza if everybody wants pizza. So April the 28th, a motion would be appropriate.
What's the time?
At 6 o'clock?
6 p.m.
6, yeah.
6.
6, I think we can do it in an hour, no more. We'll plan 6 to 7:30, but we should be out pretty quick.
That's next Monday.
Right.
Yes. Anybody like to offer a motion?
I'll make a motion that we convene a work session next Monday, April 28th, at 6 p.m.
Second?
I'll ask if there's any further comments on the motion. Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you all for doing that. And then,
For our meeting in May, it falls on the day after Memorial Day, and we've got multiple people who are going to be out of town. And I would like to make a motion to move the May meeting to May 20th due to the Memorial Day holiday.
all right, we have a motion.
Just, that's the week before Memorial Day, right? Okay.
Was the Tuesday?
Tuesday before Memorial Day.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
That's second? If there was a motion.
We have a second. Motion and a second.
Mhm.
I ask if there's any further discussion on the motion. Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you all for doing that. Alrighty. Any other action items anyone has? Hearing none, we'll move to public comment. There is no one signed in for public comment. We'll move to the need to go to closed session. Will require a motion.
I make a motion that we moved into closed session per Virginia Code Section 2.2-3711A29 for discussion of the award of a public contract involving the expenditure of public funds.
A second.
We have a motion and a second. I'll ask if there's any discussion on the motion. Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. We're in closed session.
Close that door.
So we
Yeah.
just do it.